guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Heather, I'm the FCAR office manager.
And I'm Sydney Hooten, and I'm the FCAR events manager.
And this is Chaos, our newest rescue back here, so you might see him wandering around behind us, keeping us some company. So first we're going to start with our new kind of COVID-19 guidelines. Just because of everything going on, we have some new wonderful signs just to kind of give you reminders. These are posted throughout the shelter building, on all the doors and in the office and on our gate. So just to remind you to not volunteer, obviously, if you have any of the symptoms listed for the virus, if you've traveled to other countries in the last couple weeks, if you've had any exposure to the virus or anyone that has tested positive, wash your hands frequently, avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. And we are requiring volunteers to wear masks at all times. And then practice social distancing, of course, so 6 feet apart from all of our employees and staff, just to keep everyone safe at a distance. If you do not have your own mask, we do have several of the disposable ones you're more than welcome to take from us.
Just going on to what else will be different coming on out here during this pandemic, and we are limiting our volunteers to one family or related group at a time, and we're also minimizing the
length of your time here. Just because we want everyone to have an adequate amount of time to come out and spend time with our rescues and volunteer with us.
Upon your arrival, we will be using a no-touch thermometer to get your temperature, and we request, if anything above 100 degrees, just please, see yourself home and maybe check out at the doctor, just to make sure everything's all right, just for the safety of our staff and yourself. So we will be doing that. We will have lots of hand sanitizer on hand.
We have big jugs
to share with you all. Yes. Also, with limiting our amount of volunteers out at a time and the duration of the time, that allows us to adequately clean everything that you may have come in contact with before the next volunteers arrive. So thank you so much for going ahead and signing up for your volunteer slot so we can prepare for you.
Along with that, our cat house is just such a small area that we're not going to have any employees in there at the same time as volunteers, just because it's small and it's kind of hard to stay 6 feet apart in that little cat house. So we're going to give you the walkie-talkies that we have. So we'll be in the office. If you guys need anything, you can call us on the walkie-talkie. And that's the same thing if you're outside or even in the shelter, just to let us know what's going on if you need help.
Visitors will also be scheduled between the hours of 9 to 12 in the morning for outside time only. That allows our shelter staff to be able to clean the inside of the facility, and so you aren't coming in contact with them and they aren't coming in contact with you, and hopefully you'll be able to use that time when it's not so hot in the morning to really get your fix with the rescues.
And then the outside, the afternoon shifts, those couple of slots, you can be inside or outside, so whichever you prefer. And you can come in the office with us with the dog if you'd like to do that, if you're leash walking, if that's what you want to do. Just of course you'll have your mask on inside with us, and we will as well.
So we wanted to reiterate that we are actively working with everyone to keep everyone safe as much as we can and prevent things as much as we can. So thank you so much for complying during this time, and at this time, any volunteers that are not new to us, you can go ahead and tune off the video and we'll continue on with the rest of our volunteer orientation.
So just kind of a brief history of FCAR. We are a no-kill nonprofit. Little chaos back there. We are a no-kill nonprofit animal shelter, so we've been here for 20 years. We started back in 1998. Our founders were two ladies who just started out with 2 kennels in their garage and have since expanded. So we are on 5 acres. All of you tuning in now are new, so you've never got a full tour. We would love to give you a tour the first time you come out if you do the little sign up. So you'll get to see everything and kind of know more about what we're talking about here. So us being a no-kill shelter, we usually have between 70 and 100 animals at a time. So that includes ones here on site and then also in foster homes. Right now we have our inside facility has 12 indoor-outdoor runs is what we call them. 4 isolation rooms, and then our yards for our outside dogs, we have 34 of those right now. So we have expanded quite a bit over the years, and of course our lovely little cat house that you'll get to see when you come out.
And so just for the mission of the rescue, I'd just like to read that for you guys. It's to offer refuge, medical care, nourishment, and an opportunity for a second chance at life to the injured and abused animals of Fayette County. We also want to foster a public sentiment of humanity and gentleness towards animals and protect them from cruelty, neglect, carelessness, and ignorance. We also want to promote responsible pet ownership through humane education and to enhance the quality of human life with animal companionship. So we're very thankful to be able to do all of those over the past 20 to 21 years and look forward to the future to continuing doing that as well. Along with our history, one of our first animals we had's name was Homer. So if you guys got a cue for the code word, so we know you were tuning into this video, that code word is Homer. So thank you.
The first ever FCAR rescue.
Yes.
Also, we have little folders with volunteer information. We'll make this available online, but also if you want just like a hard copy, we have these already set up, and you can take one with you. So in here it's got more stuff that we're going to talk about. It's got a little map of the shelter, some stuff with events and ways to get involved and how to volunteer, and just some stuff we'd love for you to take a look at. We want to talk a little bit about how we get an animal. So we operate off of cruelty calls and a wait list for strays. So kind of more details about that. The wait list is when someone calls us and has a stray animal, we'll ask them to do everything they can to find the owner, get them scanned for a microchip, take them to the vet, post them all over social media. If they're unable to locate the owner, we ask them to put them on our wait list. It's just an online form. And we upload some pictures and see if they are able to keep them for just a short amount of time. Sometimes it's days, weeks, sometimes it's longer. We've had people in our community keep a dog for months for us until we had a spot open for them, which is amazing. We're super lucky to have the support of our community. So other than the wait list and strays, we will actually seize animals from cruelty cases. So you want to talk about cruelty calls?
Yes. So we work very diligently with animal control officers here in Fayette County. However, we do have our own cruelty investigator here. So she is able to follow up on those cases of cruelty, and typically it goes about where they have around 3 chances to redeem their situations before we will seize the animal. Now, if the animal is in dire need of our assistance, we of course will seize them on site and get them the medical attention they need. So along with our cruelty cases, I just want to reiterate, we do not do owner surrenders at the facility, and that is to ensure that we have space available for those emergency cases. So along with the cruelty cases, we pull from animal control, and additionally, if animal control needs our help, and maybe with a litter of puppies or a situation that they have found themselves, we are an outlet for them to use as well, granted we have the space. Along with following our cruelty calls, we get them fully vetted, fully vaccinated, spay and neutering, all of that is already done, and so we're pretty keen on loving these animals, and they actually, if they don't get adopted, they'll be here for the rest of the duration of their life. So we're pretty invested in them, and so we do have a few adoption requirements that we request our adopters to abide by, which we have it here, and we'll locate that in your virtual packet as well, and then we'll have the hard copy packets here. But just a few of those would be a fenced-in yard. That is for the majority of our animals, as some of them were strays, and so they're kind of accustomed to getting out and roaming, so we just want to ensure they stay where they need to be. We also do a vet inspection for any current or previously owned pets. And what we typically are looking for is that heartworm prevention and vaccinations were given up to date and on time. That way, we can ensure that our rescue that's going to a new home will continue to get the care that they need and deserve. We also do meet and greets with all of the animals if you have a current or previously owned or current pet. That way we can help you decide if it's a good fit for your whole family. We don't want you to take home an animal and not be aware of their behavior with other animals, so we can intervene where necessary. We pride ourselves in trying to find the best home for both the rescue and the family involved. So you may have a certain look you may be interested in with an animal, but we really look at the personality and everything along that comes with their backstory to really find the best home for all involved.
Absolutely. So like Sydney mentioned, Chaos here was from animal control. So we do take from there as often as we can, especially when it's a severe case like this. He's very malnourished, ear infection, swollen leg, and he is just really wanting you to say hey to you guys. Another thing with adoption requirements is our cats are actually inside only. If you know someone or you're looking for a cat to be like a barn cat or an inside-outside cat, we actually have a lot of people in the community that have rescued litters that need homes, and so we will actually give you their contact information to get those cats to be indoor, outdoor, or barn cats, and we will actually pay for them to be spayed and neutered through our community spay-neuter program. As long as they're in Fayette County, we will pay for that, and you can learn more about that on our website. But our cats here at FCAR will be indoor only, but don't think that you won't get a kitten, because we definitely have an abundance of them in the county just because of the big issue of feral cats, and then just people letting their cats roam that aren't spayed and neutered. So there's lots of kittens and lots of options to get a furry little friend in your home. And also our adoption fee, it's $95. So we tend to spend about $300, a lot of times more than that, on each individual animal. And that's just, like she said, including all vaccinations, heartworm, flea and tick prevention, all their testing that they need done, food, general care, and things like that. So all that fee includes spay and neuter, microchip, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. If something goes wrong, like it's just not a good fit, we will take them back. And that's actually the case for if it's 10 years down the road and something comes up and you're moving, or your dog starts doing some strange behavior, we'll actually take them back at our facility. It's in the adoption contract that if you change your mind for any reason, we want them back here because we know them, and we can hopefully get them adopted back out into a better fit.
So along with our packet that you guys will get virtually, and then here at the handheld as well, it will include a volunteer code of conduct. One of the things that are mentioned in there is that we are a no smoking facility. However, to our smoking friends, you are welcome to go ahead and walk outside the gate and do that, but we just request you don't do that here on the property itself. Additionally, just a few things is what will happen, say you're out here volunteering, and in the event that a dog gets out, because it does happen, frequently sometimes, but we do try our best as we have a double gated facility. So in the event that a dog escapes from its yard while you're trying to leash it or get into their run to play with, don't be too alarmed. Just alert someone. We'll have walkie-talkies for you to use and communicate with us, as well as we're not far behind and we'll hear if you're hollering, and we can assist you in getting that animal back. But to prevent them getting out, we have these slip leashes here. They have two holes. One hole has a leather at the bottom, to indicate this is where you will hold it. We request you put your arm through the hole and then grab the little leather piece or farther down. That just gives you a good grip. So in the event the animal is pulling or tugging on the leash, if they're not leash trained, that just gives you more control. Also at the other end is the slip lead. And what it does is it simply slips over the rescue's head, and you can actually lock it into place with a small leather strap that's there. So that way, in the event they are bucking or doing whatever they may do, it doesn't slip too loose in the event that they get away from you. So that's just another precautionary thing.
Yes.
We do request that you wear them while you're on the facility property. That way, in the event another volunteer happens to have a run-in with a loose rescue, then you can help catch them as well. Alrighty. So some of the opportunities that we have here would be animal socialization, and those are some key things that we really look for are great socialization volunteers, because rescue dogs are different. They're typically nervous because of their past, and we may not always know where they have come from or the situation that they were in, and they need manners more often than none. When they find someone that they see is giving them attention and care, they're very eager to receive that, and so they may be a little bit jumpy. They may be super excited, and they're not trying to be disorderly or anything. They're just trying to get as much love as they can, because at their point in time they may have not known when the next time they would get it. The biggest thing we request from our volunteers with our animals is that we request your time and your patience. Some of these rescues, again, have come from severe cruelty cases and need to establish a trust factor with you, and that can take, hours, days, and even months at some point with some of our rescues. But we are so thankful to our wonderful volunteers thus far who have been able to sit with our rescues and really bring them get them back to life and be able to get them into a loving and adoptable home.
So some people like to come out and it's just as simple as just like sitting with a shy dog and just talking to them, even just bringing like a book to read. Or we have some kids that really enjoy doing that, just to kind of come out and just get them used to like a kind human presence. And like she said, gain some trust there. So it really does make a huge difference. So animal socialization is one part of it. Another part is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, and it's the ones that need some training. So they might be, quote, a little wild or need some obedience training and manners, just the basics of not jumping, sit, stay down, that kind of thing. And of course, just come into play. And we love for you to take pictures and videos as much as you can so we can use that material and help promote them. Get to know their personalities, you know, so we can just showcase those things and help them get into a forever home.
Yes. So at this point, we'll go ahead and show you guys of what a little bit you may see here at the shelter with our signage. So we have signs nearly at every portion of our facility, and we request you please pay attention to them. So we have a few here for you to take note of. One of the main ones, it will be this orange one that says "Careful Escape Artist." So they are, again, they're accustomed to running and getting out. They think it's a game of catch, you know, they love it. So we just want to be mindful of those animals and just take extra precaution with them. And then another one we have is employees only in this yard. This is reserved to some of our animals that may have kind of nipping tendencies, whether they be a herding dog or anything along those lines. But as we are a no-kill facility and we do have a temperament test for all of our animals we intake, at some point, you know, these animals were not that way. So it may have happened over their duration of their stay here, to where they've just been in the shelter too long, or in the event that they've grown old and so, you know, just kind of
A little grumpy.
grumpy old dogs, yes.
So some of the employees only dogs, they also will have another sign that says, "Don't put your fingers up to the fence." So there's one, we have a cattle dog named Cosmo, and he's one of those, it's just old and grumpy. You'll get to see him. But he is very territorial of his yard. So we just have signs to make sure that you don't put your fingers through his fence, because since he is a cattle dog, it's a herding breed, and he does sometimes nip. His yard also says "No children," so he's not a big fan of the little kids, which is fine. You know, he does have volunteers that come out and love on him, and we bring him in the office. He's a different dog outside of his yard, so don't think he doesn't get any good attention. He does, but we just have these types of signs as precautions.
Yes. Also, when you go into a yard or out of a yard, you'll notice that we have little carabiners clipped to the chain length of the fence. There's 2 holes that it just slips right through, and that actually locks the gate in place. Because these rescues are very smart, believe it or not, they can use their nose and their paws to kind of inch that little latch up. So we use that there as precautionary measures also. Another one of the things we use is we actually have hot wire along the bottom portion of the fencing. That way that prevents any animals from digging underneath and getting out, or even digging under and over to the next yard over and for any animal altercations. So that's a preventative. We also sometimes, or in a few of the yards, have them on top of the fencing, because as some of our, you know, our hound dogs, they like to climb chain link fences. So again, for their safety, we like to keep them in where they're supposed to be.
The voltage on the hot wire is very low. All of us have been shocked. We test it actually every day to make sure it's at a certain level. It's just enough to discourage that behavior, that digging or trying to dart out or climbing. And we actually have it where you can unhook it, and we'll show you guys when you come out, and we'll maybe do some videos of how to actually unhook that to where you safely will not get shocked, and it's easy to come in and out and get a dog in and out. A lot of times we just step right over it, and the dogs will jump over it too, but we do want you to know how to hook it and then make sure you hook it back. Same thing with the carabiners. At every gate we'll show you in person how you can do one of those as well.
Yes. And just to throw in there, dogs actually have a 5 times higher pain tolerance
That's true.
than humans. So even though it's a little bit painful to us, you know, it just discourages the behavior.
And some of them are more dramatic than others. Like Cosmo, he just touches it and doesn't care, whereas Garth is very dramatic. Another thing that you'll notice with every rescue is they have a cage card. I don't have one here, but they're hung on the gate right here, and I'll have a picture of them, their name, their gender, their breed, which most of them just say mixed, and then their estimated date of birth, so you can kind of put a name with a face and kind of learn each rescue that's here with us.
Trying to talk about the inside of our shelter facility, we have 4 isolation rooms, which are reserved for our new intakes, or animals who may be sick. So we put them into an isolation room between 1 to 2 weeks. That way, in the event they bring with kennel cough or something contagious, it doesn't infect the rest of the animals we have here. Of course, they go and get veterinarian care, but then still, as a precautionary measure, we just keep them and hold them a little bit there. And then they move up into one of our indoor-outdoor runs, which we have 12 also inside, where they have access to the outdoors, but also inside for if it's cold or too hot or anything like that. Those are also reserved for any of our senior dogs that the weather may be getting to them a little bit. They can always go in there and kind of just chill out. Another animals you may find on the inside of the facility are those going through heartworm treatment. So they will have signs on theirs that say, please do not excite, as when they're going through heartworm treatment, it's very difficult on their heart. So we just want to keep them kind of low and just let them be able to heal before we get them super excited and go out for long distance walks or anything along those lines.
It is very important to make sure you read all the signs, especially there are also sometimes the new rescues, if they're not spayed or neutered yet, there might be a sign that says, do not feed because they're having surgery or something like that. And then again with the isolation rooms, just make sure you read, there's whiteboards where they'll have notes as well as the big signs. Just make sure you read everything before just going straight in. Most of the time we do not have volunteers go in the isolation rooms, at least for a little while, so it'll probably say no visitors. So just make sure, and that's the same thing with the outside yards, just make sure that you read and look at everything. Ask us if you have any questions about any specific animal, and we'd be happy to help.
All right. So I believe that kind of concludes our main demonstrations and procedures here. So we can get to talking a little bit more about what volunteering looks like here at FCAR. We spoke briefly about the animal socialization and then the animal training. Different opportunities to kind of meet people where they are, or if you're not available per se to come out to the facility, you may be interested in fostering for us, which would be where we actually supply the crate, food, and everything you will need to bring the animal into your home for a duration of time, and where you can work with them on training, and it gives us wonderful information about them and their home. That way we can kind of get a gist if they're house trained, if they're not, if they love to chew on chews, or if they're a fan of dog bones. Just more about their personality really helps us in creating their pet finder profile to get them visible and seen to the community.
Absolutely. Another fun thing that we do have bath days for our rescues. So if you want to come out, especially during the summer when it's hot, it's just a lot of fun to give them kind of a treat of getting a nice bath. So we can do those. We have a bathtub inside that's actually hip level, so you don't have to be bending over on your knees or anything like that. You just have to lift the dog into the bathtub, or you can even give them outside with the hose, just to kind of scrub them and give them a nice little spa day. So we would love to have you come out and do that along with the socialization and playing and things like that.
If time is not your forte, but you do have the means to help financially, we have sponsorship opportunities. We have 2 of those. Partial sponsorships are $22.50 a month, which would go to a specific rescue, and then a full sponsorship would be the $45. And so that actually we've kind of tried to factor in, if we were to break it down per rescue, how much it would cost for their care for the whole month. So if you just multiply, $45 between, 70 to 100 animals, it gets pretty pricey. So we thank our current sponsors and thank you for even considering sponsorship as an option.
Another thing, we have monthly fundraiser at restaurants. It's a little bit different now thanks to the pandemic, but we're slowly getting back into those to where we partner with restaurants most of the time in Collierville or Cordova, Germantown, those types of areas. And we'll pick a day, and between a certain time, if you come in and say I'm with Fayette County Animal Rescue, or you put your receipt in a certain box, they will actually donate 20% of your food purchase. So with all the curbside pickup, it's just a little bit different right now. So we're kind of slowly getting back into that. But if that's kind of like one thing you like to do is go out to eat, and you want to bring your friends or kind of be the person there that represents FCAR, I don't know, with like a t-shirt or some brochures or things like that, just to be a smiling face and say, hey, thanks for coming out to eat, and tell them a little bit about us. It's also a good way just to get our name out there to people that might not know about us.
One of my favorite opportunities that we have, and maybe the last one we'll talk about here, is the crowdfunding opportunity. So this is really a chance for you to let your craft or your skill shine. So in the event you may be a master quilt maker, or maybe you make duck calls like one of our board members' husbands, and you wanted to sell those and a portion or the whole proceed go to FCAR, we would absolutely love that. We love to support our people that have maybe the smaller businesses. So if you're a Scentsy consultant or maybe you sell Tupperware, we would love to partner with you as well and help you get business while helping us additionally as well. We just really thank you for partnering with us with those opportunities and would love to work with you.
One more event that is, again, kind of on hold right now because of the current state of the world are adoption days. So typically we do adoption days once a month, sometimes twice a month at different pet stores, PetSmart and Petco. Until further notice, they've actually canceled the in-store event, so unfortunately we can't do that. And those honestly are it's like a great way to get our rescues out there to let people meet them. So if you have any ideas about doing maybe a virtual adoption day or just ways that might look different in the future until we can do the in-store, in-person adoption events again, we would love to hear it. You know, if you come out and pick a few dogs that you just kind of connect with and get to know their personalities, and that can be like your little project to try to find their forever homes, that would be wonderful. We're definitely open to any and all suggestions and ideas to kind of get us all through this time.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in and your interest